This is Steve Kmetko. 20 years ago, I walked off of the red carpets of the world and left the television cameras behind. But now, the podcast world has pulled me back behind the microphone once again. In my new podcast, Still Here Hollywood, I'll be talking to today's biggest stars of film and TV, plus some of your favorites that we haven't heard from in a while. Amy Yasbeck-Ritter of Wings, The Mask, and Pretty Woman. I want to ask one thing about Suzanne Somers.
Yes.
We lost her not long ago.
Yeah.
You got the two of them kind of back together, didn't you?
That was so weird. We were at the premiere of Victor Victoria on Broadway because Blake and Julie had invited John to it, dear friends. And at the intermission, I went to the ladies' room, and all of a sudden, Suzanne is standing next to me. And I'm like, hi. I said, I'm Amy. I'm here with John Ritter. She's like, oh. I said, I'll make sure, or after party. She goes, well, I'm singing at the after party. I'm like, awesome. I'll make sure he says hi. And so then I went back to my seat and I said, for those who know. And I said, John, who's the last person you would want to see here? And he went, oh, shit, Bochco's here?
Brian Dunkelman, co-host of Season 1 of American Idol.
They wanted was for me to have breakfast with a guy named Ryan Seacrest, who I guess what they really figured is they weren't comfortable giving this gig to two guys that didn't have any broadcast experience at all. People ask me about Idol, what are your regrets? I think the honest answer that I can give you is I regret going on the audition. It was very, very cruel that first season. And that's kind of what made the show such a hit, was how mean Simon was. I remember there was one day Kelly was crying, and I sat down next to her. I was like, what's going on? She's like, I don't think I can sing. My voice is... So I'm like, well, let me go get you, can we get you some tea? We'll get you some honey and some whatever. They put that to bed. I know there's like a singer's trick. And then one of the producers like, hey, you may not want a good TV. And I'm like, this is a human being, man. I don't say I was suicidal because I have too big an ego to ever go through with it. Because that's the ultimate admission of failure in my situation. I was definitely suicide adjacent.
Debbie Dunning from Home Improvement, and about the original Tool Time girl, Pamela Anderson.
Pamela was going to go to Baywatch, and they put out on the the breakdown, Debbie Dunning type, but not Debbie Dunning. Yeah, I wish I had a man in my house to do it for me. I just don't. I hang things, I find the stud, I drill in, and then I put the hanger, I put swings up in my bedroom. I mean, there's a lot of...
Swings in your bedroom? That's what keeps you in shape too, huh? What happened, say, the day after Home Improvement ended? What was going through your mind at that time?
I just was like, it hit me. I'm not going to drive into Disney. I'm not going to park in my spot. I'm not going to scare Tim anymore.
Steven Weber, best known for Wings. What were you thinking the morning after Wings ended?
Well, in a way, I was too young to think deeply about the future. I thought this is the way it's always going to be. I've reached this rhythm, this pitch of how to work, and I would always be at this level. And I was deceiving myself.
You mentioned that you had worked with Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
His passing seems so unfair.
Yeah.
Is that how you thought about it, or did you have any particular emotions about it?
Yeah. Unfair. It's such an interesting thing to ascribe to somebody who has had so much success and wealth and opportunity. But what he did have was a very human quality, which is pain and demons and all those other things, addiction, and which can seep into anybody, no matter how successful or happy they seem. I knew him. I worked with him. I didn't have kind of an intimate friendship with him, and I was able to observe him when we were on Studio 60, and he was incredibly professional. I didn't see any sign of the things that people allude to now, or then, for that matter. He was consummately professional, always prepared, and a great actor. He could do it all. And I confess that I wanted him to be my friend. So I guess I was trying not to fanboy when I worked with him.
Richard Karn of Home Improvement. And more about Pam Anderson and her Playboy magazine layouts.
Pam was so pretty without makeup. What astonished me was, I remember she came up to me one day and she goes, you know, I don't think I'm going to do any more layouts for Hef. And then literally a week later, she goes, well, I'm going to do another layout for Hef. I go, why? She says, well, he's got these other pictures and I don't like them and he's going to use them if I don't do this.
And about the star of Home Improvement and future box office powerhouse, Tim Allen.
He was very nervous about being an actor. He felt, he was the star, but he didn't feel like he was pulling his weight necessarily.
And the boys on the show. How about Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Jonathan just knew how to tell a joke. And if they can afford to buy their parents a house, there's a weird balance.
This podcast feels like kind of a homecoming for me. I've been lucky enough in my career to have earned the trust of many of Hollywood stars, I hope, power brokers, and hopefully the trust of you at home. I'm crossing my fingers that you'll join me every week as I chat with the stars that you know and love. Together, we'll hear the stories of their careers, home life, the ups and downs of living in the public eye, plus what's ahead for them. Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood, and this time I'm sticking around. Full episodes are coming very soon, and it would be wonderful if you could like and subscribe now to Still Here Hollywood with me, Steve Kmetko, wherever you get your podcasts.